Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuga. Thanks so much for being here. Wednesday, September 10th. Just heard from Liam Cohen, Jaguars head coach. Kind of midway point between week 1 and week 2. We are going to get into Jaguars standout performers here, and it's really studs and duds. Offense, defense, players who stood out in a really positive way. I've got 3 players on both sides, and then some players that need a little improvement heading into week number 2. 3 players on that list as well. So excited to get into it. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Do have an update on Anton Harrison, who missed a little bit of time with back spasms in this football game, missed 10 reps on the offensive side of the ball. He, according to Liam Cohen said on Monday, it's not a big deal. I asked him again today to follow up. Is he on track to get back on the field and play? Anton Harrison, Jaguars starting right tackle. And Liam Cohen said, yeah, he's good to go. And he was impressed with his week 1 performance. He was impressed with the entire offensive line's week 1 performance. Talk about not giving up a sack, rushing for over 200 yards. He gave a game ball to every player on the offensive line. And that's where we start here, with studs and duds on the offensive line with Anton Harrison. And to me, he was the most impressive player for the Jaguars on the offensive line. The only Jaguars starting offensive lineman to not pick up a penalty. I also just thought you saw so much more, and Liam Cohen talked about this, you saw effort and you saw strain in the run game. And we've known about his pass protection ability. I know a lot of people, it's like, what have you done for me lately? He didn't have his best year last year. There was ups and downs. But Anton Harrison at his best in pass protection has the ability to be one of the best pass protecting left tackle or right tackles in football, or left tackles potentially, but right tackles in football. You saw that in this one against not elite competition by any stretch of the imagination. The Jaguars in week 2 will have a tougher test in that regard, but Anton Harrison passed with flying colors in his first outing with the Jaguars. And the biggest thing for the coaching staff to see from Anton Harrison was the strain, was the consistent effort, was the focus, and they saw all those things in spades, I think, in this game. Anton Harrison has a potentially, if he keeps this type of effort up, very, very bright future for the Jaguars at right tackle as both a pass protector, potentially elite pass protector, and very good run blocker. So that was awesome to see. I really hope he is able to keep that up. If y'all don't know, I am a just huge fan of Anton Harrison's game. Like him coming out of college, if you haven't been paying attention too long, I am a huge draft nut. I cover the NFL draft, and so Anton Harrison in 2023 for me was like a top 10, top 12 prospect in that class. Jaguars were able to get him down at 27, I believe. So I was just so fired up about that pick. And there's been some ups and downs like there has been with most players on the Jaguars roster. But I think he's in a really good situation from a coaching perspective, offensive scheme perspective, and, him personally, the focus he has right now to have a really good year. He'll be eligible for a contract extension following the 2025 campaign, so that'll be interesting to see. But my second offensive standout was Travis Etienne, and he was fantastic. It didn't matter whether the Jaguars were running inside, whether they were running outside, whether they were running gap scheme, whether they were running zone scheme. Travis Etienne had a really, really good game. 16 carries, 143 yards, 8.9 yards per carry. Even without the 71-yard scamper, 15 carries for 72 yards, I believe, almost 5 yards per carry. He forced missed tackles. He picked up chunk gains. He was effective in the receiving game as well. Travis Etienne looked like the back you saw the 2 years prior when he was in good situations and better situations than he was in 2024. So excited to see that for Travis Etienne, because even if the Jaguars don't have him in their future plans beyond 2025, which remains unclear at this point, if he continues to play this way, somebody is going to pay that man. And he has developed so much as a professional throughout his time here. He's dealt with a lot, dealt with not the best coaching staff, dealt with the Liz Frank injury in his rookie year. So I really hope he has a great season and gets paid, whether that's in Jacksonville or elsewhere, following the 2025 season. My third offensive standout was Britton Strange. And Strange on the first drive had 3 catches for the Jaguars. He ended up with 4 catches in total on 4 targets. I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes even more involved in the passing game just thanks to his reliability. But on those receptions, you saw strong hands, toughness, yak ability, kind of explosive movement skills, which y'all know, 2023. I was also a big fan of Strange. I had him as a 3rd round pick, and my blurb about him as a 3rd round grade was, I have him as a 3rd rounder. He's the player in this draft who could potentially perform their draft value the most, because I saw the explosiveness, the athleticism, the strong hands, the blocking ability in space. But you just didn't see it a lot at Penn State because they have so many tight ends there all the time that end up making it to the NFL and doing a good job. So Britton Strange, kudos to them. Kudos to Trent Baalke for landing him. Maybe it wasn't the right pick at the time, but it has ended up being a very valuable player for the Jacksonville Jaguars, just based on his balance, his ability to be a weapon as a blocker in space and cracking on safeties and linebackers and corners. And man, even, blocking at the line of scrimmage against edges, he looked good in this game. So shout out to Britton Strange. Very, very strong start to the 2025 campaign. And as exciting as those players on offense were, I mean, these defensive guys were right there, just as good, I would say. Foye Oluokun, 2 forced turnovers in this game. He intercepted the Eric Murray, the ball. Eric Murray, Bryce Young rolling out, tries to hit a guy on the move. Eric Murray is there to defend it. He's closing on it like super fast, very instinctive, and pops it up into the air. Foye Oluokun converts on that. And then another play early on, Foye gets that peanut punch on Bryce Young, pops that ball out. And not only did he have the huge game-changing turnover plays, but he also had the down-to-down consistency in coverage, and especially against the run. I mean, led the team in tackles with 10, had a tackle for loss, I believe, as well in there. It was a really good day for Foye Oluokun. Let's see, did he end up having that tackle for loss? I'm not seeing that here, but I think he did. And he also had 4 stops, and a stop, according to PFF, is a play that constitutes a failure for the offense, a play that helps you get off the field, a play that just doesn't help the offense move the ball forward, anything like that. So, special performance by him overall, in my opinion. Foye Oluokun, somebody who I've just been a huge fan of for a very long time here in Jacksonville, from a leadership and on-field play perspective. They were utilizing him in the right way in this one, and he played great. There's a number of defensive players who are not going to be standouts that we're not going to dive into their game fully here, but I'll mention a couple of them. Devin Lloyd, Eric Murray, Dennis Gardeck, Andrew Wingard. I thought Tyson Campbell had a good game as well. A lot of guys play. I think Trayvon Walker played really well too. I think Eric Armstead did some good things, but the 2 other guys that I really want to highlight, Jordan Lewis, the intensity he plays with. He did, of course, have the holding on the Dewey Wingard pick 6 that got called back, which really sucks, but he picked up the forced fumble from Foye Oluokun, and he made a great one-handed, diving interception, which is the type of plays we've seen him make all camp and preseason. And for him to continue doing that in this game, and I'll say it again, it was against the Carolina Panthers. It was not against the Cincinnati Bengals or the San Francisco 49ers or the Chiefs or the Texans or any of these really good teams, which these teams look like they may be struggling at the moment with different things. Who knows? Very early in the season, but the Jaguars did what they needed to do against the opponent they had. And speaking of getting it done, Josh Hines Allen, 7 pressures. You want to see the sacks, of course. He wants to see the sacks, of course. But Bryce Young is a very mobile quarterback. Like, his ability to maneuver the pocket, get out on the run, and make some guys miss is impressive. So kudos to him for that part of his game. But Josh Hines Allen had 7 pressures according to PFF. I think he had 8 according to Next Gen Stats or ESPN. He was wreaking havoc off the edge. He was moving Bryce Young off his spot. He was disrupting the timing, the rhythm of the offense, almost every single passing drop back. He was. Even on the ones he didn't get pressures, like, he was generating push into the backfield, and Trayvon Walker generated a lot of push as well. So those are the defensive standouts. I think that they have a much more difficult test this weekend, but passed the first test with flying colors, the defense did. And Anthony Campanile deserves a lot of credit. So does Liam Cohen, both of these guys, for doing a great job calling offenses and defenses, respectively, that keep the opponent on their toes. You don't exactly know what you're getting pre-snap, and that goes a long way. Now, the players who need to improve, in my opinion, 2 of them on offense, 1 of them on defense. Both Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. need to play better. I put more of the issues between Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. in this game on Trevor Lawrence. He also had the miss, whatever you want to call it, down the field interception by J.C. Horn. Unbelievable play by J.C. Horn. However, if that ball is a foot higher trajectory, 6 inches higher trajectory, that's a touchdown instead of an interception, right? But the Trevor Lawrence to Brian Thomas Jr. connection has to improve. Trevor Lawrence on the first play to Brian Thomas Jr., he threw it up. He had a one-on-one coverage with Mike Jackson. He thought Brian Thomas Jr. is going to come down with that football. It wasn't like poor ball placement. It wasn't anything like that. It just BTJ didn't win on the route. So I don't really blame Trevor for that at all. The second one was the dropped screen where Liam Cohen said it was low. It wasn't at his face mask or at his shoulders, but it was at his midsection. Again, that's not too low to catch. That's got to be a catch by Brian Thomas Jr. So that one's on BT. And then most of the rest of them were on Trevor. You had Trevor overshooting him a couple times. You had one play where I thought for sure Brian Thomas Jr. should have come down with it, was the out route on the offensive right side down the field, one-on-one coverage. BT had to go up for it a little bit, but 9 out of 10 times Brian Thomas Jr. is catching that football. It wasn't like a full extension for the ball. His one of his feet got caught up with the defender and didn't come down in bounds. That's almost just like bad luck more than anything else. But that connection's got to get going, because if this offense wants to reach its peak, wants to be as good as it can be, which of course they all do, that has to be better. Point blank period. And then my one defender who I really need to see more from is Jarian Jones, who he did not play negatively from an effort standpoint. I thought he brought it like his typical high energy. Like, that's what Jarian Jones brings in effort, intensity, swagger, confidence, all that stuff. But overall, I thought he struggled a little bit in coverage. Had a pass interference. I believe he had a pass interference, right? Let's see here. Of course, I'm not seeing that pulling up either here. But Jarian Jones just targeted 5 times, 3 receptions, 33 yards. It wasn't anything completely atrocious, but it wasn't great either. So, yeah, he did have the one penalty. It was a tough matchup with Tedero McMillan, but guess what? There's a lot of tough matchups in this league. If he's playing a lot on the outside this upcoming week, he's going to see Jamar Chase. He's going to see T. Higgins. The Jaguars could change their strategy, but to this point, it doesn't seem like Tyson Campbell's going to be following a number one receiver around. So Jarian, if he's out there, is going to have to get the job done, in my opinion, at a little bit of a higher level against even better competition. And I do think you're going to see more Travis Hunter in this one. Liam Cohen said as much. That's the plan, to get Travis Hunter more involved on the defensive side of the ball. But I still think Jarian can and should play better than he did against the Panthers. So can Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. That'll do it, though. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.